Hi, it's Michelle Darnay again, and I'm here at the HP Executive Briefing Center in Cupertino, California. I have the pleasure to finally sit down with my friend Marc Dangeard, the founder of Entrepreneur Commons.
Hello, Michelle.
Hello. Marc is going to explain how this whole entire event came together today. I'm ecstatic. Marc's business, the core of who he is amazing. Great guy. Every entrepreneur in the world should know this man.
Take that, yes.
So talk to me about Entrepreneur Commons and why you started it.
My whole drive has been from the beginning to make access to entrepreneurship easier for people. A lot of what I see is that you have to know the right people to get the money to get started. I started an angel club as an option for entrepreneurs, thinking angel clubs would be the answer for helping, because angels can do whatever they want with their money. So angel, being humans, naturally tend to go for the scalable business, which are similar to what VC would do, and which still leave a big gap of these businesses that are very viable and sustainable, but cannot get funding. So that frustration turned into Entrepreneur Commons. That was one piece of it. The other piece is that I'm working with entrepreneurs, helping them with their business. It's a way for me to never say no to an entrepreneur. If they want my help, either they can pay me for and we can work one-on-one, or they can go to Entrepreneur Commons, get the support of their peers, and I'm facilitating some of these meetings, and then that way it's accessible to everybody. One way to look at this is abundance thinking as opposed to scarcity thinking, which means that instead of me trying to weed out the best guys to figure out who's going to be somebody I can bet on for tomorrow, I can work with anybody. If I got 150 entrepreneurs to help, I just set up 15 groups of 10, and that's what it is. And then we'll let these guys grow to the best they can be. No barrier to entry.
Is that I've raised money before, you folks know this, but I didn't realize that only 2% of 100% of entrepreneurs actually gets funded. Was that the correct number?
Actually, the numbers that I got from the Inc. 500 list. So Inc. magazine every year publishes a list of the top fastest growing companies, the top 500 fastest growing companies, and the top 5,000 fastest growing companies. From that list, if you look at the top 500, only 6% are getting VC money, which means 94% of these people are getting started without VC money. They're typically using either their own money or friends and family or credit cards. These are the three sources of funding. Banks are not even mentioned in these statistics, because pre-revenue, typically you cannot get help from banks. If you look at the top 5,000, I believe we go down to 3% of these top 5,000 being held by VCs. So I'm catering to these 94% and these 97% of entrepreneurs who need the help today, especially with the economy as it is, and cannot get it from the well-advertised sources of funding that are the angels and VCs.
So you bring these groups together, right? And now you're in how many countries?
So today we have 17 chapters in 13 cities, and that includes Asia, Europe, as well as the US. We are in Paris, in Madrid, in Athens. We're working on 3 new chapters in Greece, actually. We are in El Salvador. We are also, obviously, in major cities in the US, New York, Chicago, Miami. And we are in Shanghai.
I get an email from these guys almost every week that we're opening a new chapter. It blows my mind how quickly the word is just spreading. It's viral. I mean, it's the help, right? Being able to ask for help. One of my earlier interviews was about the fact that entrepreneurs tend to not want to ask for help. And the fact is there's no better people to help each other than us. And I think it sparks that, right? It sparks one helping the other to help the other to help the other. Right. And I've mentioned this earlier in the program today as well. But one of the beautiful things that's happened is we're here at the HP Executive Briefing Center in Cupertino, California. And, I didn't know the HP story before I got here. I didn't know that it started by 2 guys in a garage. So
right.
It's a perfect place to throw this event.
Yes.
And so, reach out, go to entrepreneurcommons.org, read about what Marc and his philosophy is, and now the thousands of other people that are involved. I mean, it's amazing, you guys, what's happened. Literally, it's probably been a year.
And since then, as you mentioned, we've grown the number of chapters. We are actually getting some funding into the ecosystem. There's a bank in Greece that has agreed to fund 30 loans at 25,000 euros a piece, so that entrepreneurs in Greece can decide who among themselves is mature enough to get that money, and they can get started that way, no collateral required. So we're also getting into that piece as well, which I think is very exciting. So that's on the financing side. On the other side, what I've realized building Entrepreneur Commons is that there's a lot of people doing a lot of work in this area. There's the First Tuesday, there is the Founders Institute, etc. And Incubate 2.0 for me is a big milestone, because now we are getting all these people into one room to discuss what is being done and what the opportunities are. Today we had a lot of great content. Tomorrow we are actually going to sit down in an unconference and talk to each other to decide what is it that we can do together to make the system better and would create massive and global impact for entrepreneurs.
Do you think that, I would assume, that we're going to have another event like this next year? I mean, what's the...
Definitely, I'm hoping to have this event as well in South America and Europe, because what you see is a lot of discussions are very strongly influenced by where we are, and what's relevant for people here is not necessarily as relevant for people in South America. At the same time, the world is changing here and it's changing there. And we had a discussion in a panel earlier with how entrepreneurs in Kenya were building mobile phone apps that are relevant for themselves. And nobody cares in the valley that these guys are doing that because it's local economy, etc. But for them, it's a huge impact. And so having these type of people share their experience in Africa of how these technologies are helping them, create businesses and opportunity for themselves, I think is very interesting as well. And we can learn a lot from these guys just as much as we can learn from what the entrepreneurs here are doing.
Absolutely, and the talent is talent is talent, right? So it doesn't matter if you're brown or black or white or living in South America or living in Cupertino, California, San Francisco, LA, it doesn't matter because the talent is there. So being able to access the talent is what I believe is the most important, and Entrepreneur Commons affords and allows for that to transpire.
There's also that when you live in a given ecosystem, you tend to build blindfolds and you start assuming that things are a certain way because that's the way they are. But if you see guys from some other place doing something different, all of a sudden you can ask yourself the question of, why am I not doing this? And that's how you create opportunity.
One of the prior interviews today, I said, what is the best advice you can give an entrepreneur? And he said, to not raise money if you don't have to do it on your own. But the beauty of what he said was that he also followed up with the fact that building a business today is so much less expensive than it ever has been. He mentioned that his first business that he invested in, or built, cost him $20 million. This is all within a less than 10-year time span. I mean, that's how the economy and the way that we do business has changed so vast in the last 8-9 years. But he said his first business was $10 million. His second business was $8 million. His wife then said, quit building businesses and start investing instead. But the reality is entrepreneurs don't, and I know this for myself as well, don't need the kind of monies that they've needed in the past based on what's happening in our world.
That's right. A lot of the services are available. You can use Google to build your email system, your first website. You can very cheaply build a website using a Drupal or Joomla or other open source software hosted somewhere. The skill set required is also much lower. You don't need to be a guru developer to do a lot of these things. It's very easy to do it yourself.
Perfect. It's beautiful what's happening in the marketplace today, and so many accessible tools, as you mentioned, or as Marc has mentioned. The other piece that I want to make sure we talk about is HP.
Yes.
And why we're here today, and how we got here, and the connection that you have at HP. That has allowed us to film all day and do wonderful panels and bring in amazing people. Tell me how that happened.
So HP, they have a very entrepreneurial culture. They are very proud that they are the garage company. It's a historic landmark now. They are also a very large company. So you have a little bit of the best of both worlds. They are trying to do more and better to help startups. So for HP to be connected with startups makes a lot of sense. You know, they can see what's happening, they stay in touch with that market, understand, and they can make some of their resources available to help startups that are within their ecosystem when it makes sense. I mean, if I'm a small 20-people company and I want to get $20 million from some large government, I'm not going to get it. But if I work with HP to do that, all of a sudden we can have a discussion, because I can bring the innovation, they can bring the stability of being around, having been around for many years, and all of a sudden we have a story that we can sell to a large organization or a government, for example.
Another event like this, would that be an annual? Are you looking to do this on an annual basis?
I do not want to preempt these discussions with my own preconceived ideas of what should come out. I would rather sit down with the people with an open mind and see what is it that we can do together to improve entrepreneurship around the world.
One sentence advice to the entrepreneur that's on the street, working by himself, struggling.
Well, I'll say trust yourself, really doing what you were born to do and what you were meant to do from the beginning. So to me, that's the thing, is be true to yourself and just follow the path and see where it goes. Great.
And if people want to access you, entrepreneurcommons.org. Is there any other means to get to you guys?
That's the best way.
That's the best way.
Marc at entrepreneurcommons.org.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm grateful.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.